Thank you, Fran. Shabbat Shalom. Greetings to you all. Well, it certainly feels like fall is coming. And here in the Northeast, we got to really enjoy the 10 days of summer that we had. Now, I got a great email from an old pal of mine. It was one of those fascinating facts ones that is simply really cool. Except it was off by a year. You see, it was a phenomenon from 2014, except he thought it was for 2015 because that is how the email went to him. Anyhow, it was a phenomenon that you all got to enjoy. You just don't necessarily know at the time. And I believe I mentioned it, but I will mention it again. It was something that occurs once every 823 years. And since he was wrong about the year in which it occurs, maybe he's also wrong about how often it occurs. Maybe it's more common than we realize. Anyhow, last August, there were 5 Fridays, 5 Saturdays, and 5 Sundays. Now, that is cool, especially if it does happen only once every 823 years, and we got to enjoy it. And thank you, Alan. It is always nice to know that you not only enjoy the show, but that you enjoy the greetings and the patter that oft accompany them. I appreciate the kind thoughts, the comments, the time you take to listen and respond. As Bob Dylan's saying on Do Right to Me Baby, you got to do unto others like you'd have them, do unto you. I do try and treat everyone the way I would want to be treated. I like to think most of us do that, and for those who don't, it is never too late to start. Now, the other day, I gave my almost annual talk at Adam's Day, an event sponsored by a Sufi Muslim group to honor and celebrate the father of all humanity. And I like to make it an Adam and Eve Day, honoring the mother and father of all humanity. And I've been asked to post that to our channel, and I will try and do that this week or next. Now, usually they have whirling dervishes perform. Not like the Tasmanian devil kind of whirling dervish, but the real ones. And if you've never seen them, they are a sight to behold. Unfortunately, they could not attend this year. Perhaps they were off whirling around somewhere else. They are different, and if you ever do get a chance, see them whirl. Different and differences, friends. I mentioned last week that this is a book filled with them, and in many ways, they help confound more than they help clarify. You see, in many ways, this book does not fit the other books. It is just too different. There are a few possible reasons. Perhaps this truly was a Mishnah HaTorah, a repetition of the teaching, written by a king as was prescribed, and therefore there would be slight differences. After all, it was missing for hundreds of years. And perhaps this was the one true book of Moses, and at one point all there was for the rules, the laws, the code of living, and all the other books were fit around it. It does not matter. What matters is how you perceive and choose to deal with those differences. In some cases, they say things that seem quite different to what was said in the other books, and that becomes confounding. Which do you listen to? Which do you follow? You see, there is always a choice. Friends, this is Re'eh See. I love how the Parsha opens. Deuteronomy 11:26. See, I'm putting in front of you today a blessing and a curse. The blessing, when you listen to the commandments of Adonai your God that I command you today, and the curse if you won't listen to the commandments of Adonai your God. Great choice. Pure black and white. Do or don't do. Now that sounds like something Yoda would say. And the first law put in front of the people is to wreak total destruction on the places of worship of the people they will dispossess. And friends, somehow, so much of the destruction, annihilation, wanton execution is anathema to how we view life. It is also opposite to what has always been done by just about everyone. By Abraham, by historical Israel, what the Catholic Church did and what conquering Europe did. See, sacred sites have always been taken over and adapted, not destroyed. That is the history of man. Friends, this is a Parsha that simply once again highlights and summarizes certain things told before. It highlights the chosen place of worship, the centralization and control of worship, tithing, sabbatical years, the great called for holy days, Passover, the Feast of Weeks, what we call Shavuot, which means weeks, the Feast of Booths, Sukkot. It's called something else in a prior book of the Torah. Surely you remember. It was the ingathering festival there. These are the 3 gathering festivals. What I want to talk about, this Parsha revisits the idea of clean and unclean foods. Otherwise, what has become known as the kashrut rules, rules which to this day have never been properly explained. But friends, it is not even that list of foods alone that I want to highlight for you. That's a study in itself. But instead something said, you were not to eat unclean, not to eat an abomination. But these terms themselves are not defined as to what is and is not. There is no definition of clean and unclean, of what an abomination was. Yes, there is a traditional list of animals, birds, fish, but no real because. It's strangest of all. Though while you cannot eat anything that died naturally, and I get that, you can sell it to foreigners or give it to the stranger in your midst. And this, my friends, more than anything, goes against the sacred rule of one law for all, and that is confounding in itself. Deuteronomy 14:3. You shall not eat any offensive thing. This is the animal that you shall eat: ox, lamb of sheep, and lamb of goats, deer and gazelle, roebuck, wild goat and bison, and antelope and mountain sheep, and every animal that has a hoof and that has a split of hooves in two, that regurgitates its cut among animals, you shall eat it. And of course this is then followed by a list of exceptions, including the pig. But why is an animal offensive? You shall eat this out of all that are in the water. You shall eat every one that has fins and scales, and you shall not eat any one that does not have fins and scales. It is impure to you. But why is it impure? And you shall eat any pure bird. And this is what you shall not eat from them: the eagle and the vulture and the black vulture and the kite and the falcon by its kind. And friends, again, what's a pure bird? And we're not actually really sure of what most of these species that are mentioned really are. And every swarming thing of flying creatures, it is impure to you. It shall not be eaten. You shall not eat any carcass. You shall give it to the alien who is in your gates, and he will eat it, or sell to a foreigner, because you are a holy people to Adonai your God. You shall not cook a kid in its mother's milk. A kid in its mother's milk. This is the third occurrence of this command. The other two were in Exodus 23:19 and 34:26. And here, surprise, surprise, it is different. It is the first time that it is grouped with the laws of forbidden animals. It wasn't before. It does not appear in the corresponding list in Leviticus 11. Its origin and purpose are thus different from the other dietary laws. Its original meaning may have been ritual or moral, as we talked about, but it belongs to a different category of law from the prohibitions of eating pigs and other animals. But it has been blended into the regular kashrut rules now as the prohibition of mixing milk with meat. Now, people have built industries on the kashrut rules. What is allowed and what isn't? And people have often wondered what to find clean, what to find pure. It's actually not necessary. The answer is right there, to borrow from last week, because. That is why some foods can be eaten and others cannot. There is no one true reason. None of what you read on the subject is wrong, but none is the capital T truth either. Friends, religion, all religion, is founded on man's interpretation of what Spirit suggested. Keep going to your Kavanaugh, your intention, and you can never be wrong. Yes, you may change, and you will change. Progress, examine, participate, learn, teach. You're on a never-ending journey through the recesses of sacred time and sacred space contained within your heart, your mind, your soul. And that is why many find it through different vehicles. Some through prayer, some through study, some through meditation, some through yoga, some through crystals, some through sacred shamanistic journeys, some through the chakras, some through the tree of life, some even through conscious altering drugs. Their purposes are the same, to take you to the same places. What goes up must come down. Spinning wheel, gotta go round. Talking about your troubles, it's a crying sin. Ride a painted pony, let the spinning wheel spin. And tied to the rules of food and holy day gatherings, another huge difference is about to be announced. But rather, you shall inquire at the place that the Lord your God will choose from all your tribes to set his name there, to tent it, and you shall come there. Boom! There will now only be one place of worship. There are not to be temples of the Lord all over the world or even all over Israel. There is to be only one place. Now, this does not preclude having synagogues, churches, mosques, temples, houses of study. It just means that worship involving sacrifices, because this was a religion based on sacrifice, can be done only in the one sanctioned place. This is part of the centralization and formalization of religious practice and by a set group, whereas through much of Israel's early history, worship occurred at more than one location, as did sacrifices. It might beg the question that since God cannot be contained within the entire universe at all, how can a structure built on earth by humans possibly house God? And our sages came up with a great answer. God causes his name to be contained in the structure, and therefore the divine name becomes a tangible entity, and it is connected to the structure, that is, to the tent of meeting. The visible symbol of the presence of the divine name is the ark. And so every occurrence of this expression in Deuteronomy refers to the place where the ark is. Now later the ark and the tent of meeting will be moved to the temple that Solomon builds in Jerusalem. And on that occasion, Solomon will use some of these same terms to convey that the name is now housed in the temple. For prayer and sacrifice, Israelites are to focus their attention in the direction of the place where the name of the Lord is housed. And that helps explain why the name is not said. It represents God. It becomes his or her emissary. And we are told, you shall eat there in front of the Lord. Now there's two things to note here. The word there and what the food represented. A sacrifice is a sacred meal eaten in the presence of God. Wow! When's the last time you felt that way when you sat down to eat? Surely you remember, don't you? To slaughter and to sacrifice in ancient religious practice were two inseparable acts, but not anymore. Friends, animals' lives cannot be taken in a thoughtless way. If one wishes to eat meat, the animal must be killed at one central place of worship called the tabernacle in Leviticus and the place where the Lord sets his name in Deuteronomy. Then instead of slaughter, one participates in holiness when one eats the meal. The meal then includes a component of reverence for the animal's life and affirms a belief in the unity of God. What a fantastic concept, and one which we have gotten so far from. Now, the whole point of Adam's Day was to remind people we were all one family. We used to honor that at every meal. We are connected to everything, not just man. But you can reconnect to that. Nothing says you cannot have that mindfulness, that reverence, when you sit down with your friends, with your family, to share a meal, a sacred moment of time. And in our book of differences, what was not allowed in Leviticus is allowed now, because with this comes another great difference. See, the people may slaughter an animal in a non-sacrificial way, that is secular rather than ritual slaughter, at any other place than the temple. Then the same laws apply as would apply to animals that are killed by hunting, such as gazelles and deer. The blood must be spilled off and not eaten, and only people who are in a condition of ritual purity, such as the priest, may eat sacrifice meat, but this secularly slaughtered meat can be eaten by anyone, pure or impure. Suddenly, there was now meat for all, at any time, any place. The ancient belief system was different, and the people of the time understood. You see, the Torah distinguishes between ethical and ritual. Ethical sins, those that occur between a human and one fellow human, theft, for example, those are judged in terms of each individual person's actions, and the person's intent is crucial to be taken into account. Ritual sins, those are that occur between a human and God, blasphemy, for example, are judged in terms of zones of holiness or groups of holiness, and intent is not an issue. See, all of this seems foreign and somewhat barbaric in our time, and that's because Israel has not been a religious state for 2,000 years, and after the destruction of the Second Temple, ritual became less central in Judaism, and emphasis on ethics arose. Friends, too much of our rules have come to us out of fear. Shouldn't it be from love instead? I want you in your readings to notice also two huge Passover differences. Deuteronomy 16:3 says, "You shall not eat leavened bread with it," meaning the sacrifice. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread, the bread of degradation, with it, because you went out from the land of Egypt in haste. It was the bread of holiness. Now it's the bread of haste. The phrase that dominates our Seders. And an even bigger difference. You may not make the Passover sacrifice within one of your gates that the Lord your God is giving you, but rather to the place that the Lord your God will choose to tent his name. There you shall make the Passover sacrifice in the evening at sunset, the time when you went out from Egypt. And you shall cook and eat it in the place that the Lord your God will choose, and you shall turn in the morning and go to your tents. Did you notice? Now the sacrifice is centralized. It used to be wherever you were, and you observed it at your home. This was the most important holy day in the Torah. So it could be observed wherever you were, not now. Now it's centralized. And just how did Moses demonstrate this book of choices? Do or don't do, be blessed or be cursed, be there or be square, to an illiterate populace. He pointed to two mountains, my friends. Mount Gerizim is on the favored right hand, and Mount Ebal on the suspect left. Gerizim is covered with vegetation, whereas Ebal is desolate. The theology of Deuteronomy is beautifully concretized in the stark opposite of these two mountains. For the book repeatedly stresses the forking alternatives of prosperity and disaster, depending on Israel's faithfulness to God's laws. The choice is yours. The world is sacred, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Friends, light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom, be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light, and continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other, we share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Fall in love, friends. It is the great gamble worth taking. Ask questions. Do not take because as an answer. See what lies in front of you. Thank you all. Love you. See you all next time. And I do love seeing you all again. Remember, your wishes will come true. And I want to end by wishing a happy anniversary to my wonderful wife. I am truly lucky to have you in my life. And I can't think of a better song to end with than Just the Way You Are by the great Billy Joel from the 1977 Stranger album. I said I love you, and that's forever. And this I promise from my heart. I couldn't love you any better. I love you just the way you are. Bless you all. Thank you all. Shabbat Shalom. Have a fantastic week. See you all next time. Take care. Bye.